What's going on, everyone? Today was a crazy day in the market as 64% of the S&P 500 closed down in the red today, and there was a ton of big movement all across the board. Trump's tariffs are set to go into effect tomorrow, and we have two big things to cover just on this news. One, he reached a deal with Mexico to delay those tariffs by a month in the middle of the day today, which sent markets rocketing to the upside. And after the market closed, he just reached a deal with Canada to delay the tariffs there as well. He is yet to reach a deal with China and is now showing signs of considering tariffs on the European Union, and is even looking to do a deal with Ukraine where he wants guaranteed access to their natural resources as a form of payment for supporting them during the war. On top of that, Palantir stock is soaring to the heavens after they reported earnings after the bell today, and is just moving in an absolutely insanely way. And on top of that, we have two very useful charts to showcase what the market normally does in situations like this one. We have so much to talk about today related to tariffs, Palantir, earnings, seasonality data, top setups to watch, and a lot of other information. So Tom, we can't waste any time. Let's get right to it.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with the tariffs. There was a ton of developments there, Mike, and it looks like Mexico seemed like they were going to get away scot-free here from all this tariff situation, and it looks like Canada is now joining them here in this delay. So Trump came out today and actually announced that they would be delaying their tariffs to Mexico, and this is what really caused the SPY to pop back to the upside today. Whenever the market opened today, there was a huge gap down. We talked about this in last night's video, Mike, how there was that big gap down, and we saw a whole bunch of negativity throughout the press, and also even with Bitcoin. It was falling all weekend, but whenever the market opened today and that Mexico news hit, SPY shot right back up. So let's go. We're seeing this delay now with Mexico for a month, and even Canada now joining in here at the end of the day. Trump talked with Trudeau 2 different times today, and after the second meeting, it looks like Canada is going to be doing a whole bunch here to help their border, and that's also the main thing that Mexico's doing that is going to delay these tariffs, is that they're sending 10,000 personnel or soldiers to the border to help the trafficking of fentanyl, people, drugs, stuff like that, and obviously a bunch of crime going on. But there is so much to this tariff situation, Mike. It's going to be an insane video here.
No doubt. So basically, the tariffs on Canada and Mexico have been paused for 30 days, and both of these countries are going to be heavily fortifying their border, not only with personnel, but also technology and a whole bunch of other stuff. This is definitely a good thing for all countries, at least in the short term, while a longer term deal is reached. I know Canada is also implementing a fentanyl czar and ensuring 24/7 eyes on their border. So definitely good news in the short term. And Tom, there were a handful of stocks and ETFs moving off this news.
Yeah, there definitely was, Mike. So some of the ticker symbols today are EWW for a Mexican ETF. There was Canadian ETFs as well. MEXX is another 3x leverage Mexico ETF that was up over 7%. And I like this one a ton, Mike, because it's going to have a lot of great movement. But if you're looking for Canada, look at ticker symbol EWC. You can see some pretty crazy prints here in after hours. So that one's probably going to end up gapping up a little bit with this news, but definitely watch some of these ETFs because we're going to probably see a lot of crazy price action out there, and even watch the overall market. The SPY was reacting really well earlier, like I said, to that Mexico delaying news, and of course in after hours here, it's already moving up, and we're back above 600 already with the Canada news. So just keep watching for more possible positive sentiment off of this.
Beautiful. So we're looking good on the Mexico and Canada front, but we still don't have too much news related to China. And at the same time, Trump is considering hitting the European Union with 10% tariffs on imported goods. And he's even looking to do a deal with Ukraine where he wants guaranteed access to their rare earths as a form of payment for supporting their war efforts against Russia. So we have a ton of news today.
I know, and it doesn't even end there with all the Trump news. We still have the TikTok sovereign wealth fund news as well, where Trump actually did an executive order today where they're going to be doing a sovereign wealth fund, which countries do this. China actually has done this as well as multiple other countries. But at the end of the day, it's going to allow the U.S. to maybe invest in certain things, and it looks like in this case, they're specifically talking about maybe using it for TikTok. So I don't know, Mike. Maybe the TikTok will be owned by the U.S. government. I'm not sure that I necessarily want that, but at the end of the day, they did this order for this fund. So just watch out for more news, because we might see this fund talk about using those investments on certain different stocks and just things that are going to help the country. But obviously, that'll help companies too.
Exactly. And really, there's not a lot of information known about this sovereign wealth fund because it literally just got created today. So, we will definitely monitor the situation and talk about it as more information does become publicly available. But Tom, I think everyone is looking at Palantir right now. This stock is soaring to the heavens after blowing out their earnings report. What is going on here?
Palantir is nuts, Mike, and I didn't know if they would actually be able to keep up with all of the hype that's been going on this year, but hey, it looks like that they are, and after hours, they're up to $100 per share. I cannot even believe I'm saying it right now, but like you said, they blew the earnings out of the water. Alex Karp, I gotta take my hat off to you, sir. But at the end of the day, the EPS beat, the revenue beat by quite a bit. So the EPS right here, 14 cents a share versus 11 cents expected. Of course, the revenue beats a little bit as well. And the thing that really impresses me, Mike, is their outlook for the full year of 2025. They're looking at revenue between $3.741 billion to pretty much $3.75 billion versus a $3.522 estimate. So they're beating that estimate, pretty much blowing it out of the water. Their Q1 outlook for sales is definitely blowing that estimate out of the water as well. And they're growing their customer base in a pretty insane way. So, Mike, it looks like everything's going well right now for Palantir. And even like government revenue and commercial revenue is up very significantly. Like commercial revenue grew 64% year over year.
Yeah, and to do some of these other metrics justice, looking at the specific statistics, their customer count rose 43% year over year. Their quarter one outlook was originally expected to have like $799 million in sales, and they actually said, actually scratch that. We're now expecting $860 million in sales just for Q1. So long story short, they are crushing it. Their stock is exploding, and they passed 100, Tom. It's quite the day.
Yeah, and I wonder how high they're actually going to open up at tomorrow. Like, that's not even rejecting off 100. It's like blowing right through here. So we'll see how it ends up. And of course, they're going to have the conference call come out and everything like that. So keep that in mind. But there's a lot more earnings for this week as well, Mike. We have Palantir tonight, tomorrow in pre-market. We have PayPal, Spotify, and Pfizer. Those are going to be three pretty big companies, even Ferrari mixed in down there. But AMD and Google in after hours tomorrow too. Enphase as a solar stock, even like EA has seen some movement in the short term. So no shortage of earnings here coming up tomorrow and the next few days. That's for sure.
I love it. And, as we look at some of these earnings plays like Palantir, keep in mind that these stocks, like when they have momentum, they can run for, they can run in like a pretty strong way. So like, let's say in the example, or let's say with Palantir, Tom, in terms of resistance, there really isn't much. Like the skies are clear because the stock is at all-time highs. But if someone was looking at this in like a short-term trading sense, what levels would you say to keep on the radar?
Yeah, it's pretty tough because it's in that new zone. Like you said, there's really nothing established overhead, but we have to keep whole dollar levels in mind. And going to the Bookmap here, it looks like 105 has quite a bit of sellers stacking up in after hours. So I'll definitely be keeping my eyes on 105. And once we get past that, I'll be watching for 110 after that point. And you can even see like right here, there's even a little bit of sellers stacking up at 102. And the price action is getting very close to that. So I'll even be watching that for a possible rejection. But mainly the whole dollar psychological levels are what we need to keep our eyes on with Palantir in the short term.
Yeah, sounds good. At the end of the day, when you're looking at a stock like Palantir or any, strong moving stock in the market right now, of course, follow the money, but you just have to, protect yourself no matter what, because we're seeing a lot of big moves right now. And of course, sometimes you're going to get stopped out, but by having a tight stop loss and following the money, that you're doing a lot of what's necessary for just following, strong trends in general. So either way, just keep that in mind with any types of short-term trades right now. But you mentioned the earnings lineup for the week. We also can't forget about the economic schedule because there's a lot going on there too.
Yeah, there definitely is. There was ISM manufacturing PMI today, and I will say a lot of this economic data is getting overshadowed by the Trump tariff news and a lot of those different situations and economic developments. So keep that in mind. But tomorrow we do have the JOLTS job openings 30 minutes after the market opens, so that'll be exciting. ISM services PMI on Wednesday, 30 minutes after the market opens, and on Friday we have a couple things going on with the non-farm payrolls and unemployment rate, and then Michigan consumer sentiment there, and we'll definitely hit on those further on in the week. But it's a huge week between all this tariff stuff and everything. We have a bunch of economic data points to worry about too.
Sounds good. So as we look at SPY right now, we just kicked off February, and we know what that means. So normally in post-election years, February isn't that strong of a month. As we can see with data going all the way back to 1950, February is pretty rough for post-election years, and even just for like all years in general, February isn't that strong of a month. So that's just like another thing worth keeping in mind as we head into all this crazy volatility, tariff news, and earnings.
Yeah, I mean, that's rough to see. And, one thing about February, too, and not specifically post-election years, but just February's in general, is that around the second half of the month, that's really where February start to sell off a lot. It looks like right around Valentine's Day, right around the middle of the month is where, it peaks, and then we start to see that downtrend come in. But even in the beginning of the month, Mike, very shaky for, the first couple weeks, until that next pop comes in. But I love looking at historical data. Just keep in mind that in the short term, this tariff news is probably going to rule the price action.
No doubt. I mean, look at the price action over the past couple of days. When Trump speaks and whenever news comes out, it quite literally moves the market by itself. So yeah, I definitely agree there. But looking more at SPY, Tom, we're back above the $600 level for now, but what are the other key levels to keep on the radar, and what are you seeing in terms of the charts?
Yeah, there's actually some good developments going on with SPY from today. So SPY started to bounce off of a crucial support. If we go to the 5-minute chart, there was a very, very nice double bottom down around 590. And we talked about 590 quite a bit in last night's video. It ended up bouncing off of that bottom area and ran all the way back towards $600 once again. Now in after hours with this positive Canada news, we're back above 600. So the SPY is all over the place. So keep that in mind. I'm going to keep watching 590, which was pretty much the low from today, as a very large support level in the short term. We're seeing great bounces there, and we have to use 600 now as well, since the SPY is above that. So 599 to 600 will be a decent support that I'm watching for tomorrow as well. But as the SPY moves higher here, Mike, with this positivity, there's going to be a lot of levels to watch for. 602 to 603 is very important in the short term. After that, I think 605 is going to be the next major level to watch for. That area has seen a ton of hits over the past couple weeks, and then, of course, the peak at 610 will be the next major area past that. There's a lot of levels right here because SPY has been kind of stuck, but at the end of the day, 605 and a lot of where my arrows are pointing are the more crucial areas, I would say.
Good to know. So we have a lot of big areas very close to where the SPY is at, and in between those zones is, the movement is really being driven just by news and just short-term trends, you can say, especially tariff-related news, and quite literally anything that Trump says has been moving the markets quite a bit, and that's just how Trump markets are. Sometimes you can catch phenomenal price action off this, and it's definitely a news-driven market right now. So definitely keep that in mind. And besides that, Tom, let's get right into some setups and predictions. A stock that is close on my radar right now is CCL, and it is to the downside. I covered this setup in yesterday's video. It had a nice move lower today, but most of the movement came in pre-market. Looking at CCL, it's still pretty overextended in the grand scheme of things, and the price action was relatively weak, especially given how strong the market ended up getting as the day went on. Either way, CCL is definitely still on my bearish radar, where the more pressure it puts on its recent lows, the better the setup becomes.
Yeah, that was a pretty bad drop, especially in pre-market, of course, and a pretty good rejection intraday, too, around 27.50. I'll definitely keep it on the radar. With my first stock, I'm looking at Costco to the upside. Costco didn't really care about the SPY dropping off too much today, as it made a new all-time high, pretty much, right around the end of the day. So this is going to be huge for tomorrow, because I'm really watching $1,010 just above this $1,000 area. You can see on the daily chart, Costco barely broke above that all-time high today. So for tomorrow, we need to see a clear break above there once again. And you can see on the Bookmap how there's a bunch of sellers right around this 1,010 area. So if we start to see this wall break and we start to see the price action with Costco increase a little bit more, I'm going to keep watching for the breakout. There's a lot of good positive action off of this Canada news in after hours as well, and that might help fuel some upside potential for tomorrow.
All right, very good to know, and I will also keep a close eye on Costco. It normally has some pretty good movement, so great stuff there. Another stock that is close on my radar is Apple, and it is actually to the downside. So while we had good tariff update news with Canada and Mexico, things have been pretty silent on the Chinese front, you can say, and Apple has definitely sold off quite a bit from this. It fell today by nearly 3.5%, and the price action was just nasty. Not only today, but even when you zoom out further, this stock has been in a pretty harsh downtrend ever since they reported earnings, and even longer than that. Given the uncertainty with the China tariff maybe deal, that does present some risk for Apple, and it has already sold off into this news. Apple is definitely on my bearish radar, given the price action that we are seeing. Of course, if a deal does get reached with China, that could help, but you know, right now there isn't one, and I haven't seen too many great things that indicate a deal is close to being reached, but, you know, we'll see what happens. Trump has been making a lot of deals lately, but either way, Apple's on my bearish radar.
Yeah, and I mean, let's be real. Even if there is a deal reached, Apple still has problems in China either way with those iPhone sales and stuff. So they're going to have I would say a rough next couple years, Mike, at least on the China side of things. You know, they might make up for it, though, in other areas like we've seen. But with my next stock or next setup, I'm looking at FedEx to the downside. I noticed this stock really tumbled over today, and it's right around the $250 support. For tomorrow, if it starts to break under like 246, right around the low of day today, I'm going to keep watching it down. This is a major drop on FedEx, and if we go to the daily chart, you can see how FedEx was in a pretty weird trend. It was actually stuck for about a whole year right here in 2024, and now we're starting to break this trend to the downside a little bit, and we're actually starting to form now lower highs. So that's going to be another bearish sign, but I'm definitely watching FedEx down. It's in free fall mode, and I'm just watching for a good continuation off of this.
All right, sounds good, and the price action there definitely looks pretty nasty. So besides that, Tom, we are all clear for today's momentum plays. And with the first one, we have IONQ to the upside, and this one has been doing pretty well lately.
Yeah, it came back again today, recovered up very well. There's a solid resistance right at $43. So if it breaks above 43, keep watching it up.
All right, with the next one, we have TSM to the downside.
Poor TSM, not the best price action today. If they end up falling under 198 and we do end up seeing tech turnover, then watch TSM down as well.
All right, and now with the last one, we have HIMS to the upside, and this one has been exploding.
Yeah, we called this one out yesterday. It broke out above 38.20 and did pretty well, running up to almost 39.70 here. Pretty good pop. If it ends up breaking out above $40 even, watch it up for tomorrow. That's going to be a big psychological level.
All right, sounds good. So we have HIMS and IONQ on watch for moves to the upside, and we have TSM on watch for a potential move to the downside. Either way, these three stocks are on watch for potential breakouts tomorrow if and only if they break past the levels listed. The stronger and more consistent these stocks move, the better these types of setups become. These stocks are volatile, so as with any trade you ever place, you have to have stop losses and adjust and flow with the trend as it unfolds. So keep these stocks close on watch. And besides that, Tom, let's jump right into today's big money trade, and we are looking at ticker symbol ABBV. Today, the big money put $615,000 into the 195 strike calls for April 17th of 2025. ABBV had a pretty good day today as a ton of firms upgraded this stock. Everything from Deutsche Bank to Goldman to Wells Fargo to Morgan Stanley to BMO and a ton of other banks upgraded the stock today, which definitely helped fuel its uptrend. At the same time, it reported earnings on Friday, which kind of initially sparked this recent bullish move. The big money's buying call options that are only slightly out of the money and have a fair amount of time to them, so they're expecting a decent move in the short term here, and it's definitely a stock worth keeping on the radar.
It really is. I thought that recovery today was a great sign to see for AbbVie, and I know it didn't break 192. It didn't quite get there, but if it breaks 192 for tomorrow, that's going to be a great short-term sign. And looking at this play, it's a little bit of a short-term play, not the shortest term ever, out to April 17th. So just a couple months to this one. It's not like it goes out, 6 or 8 months or anything like that. But I do like AbbVie in the short term. It's starting to come up pretty well off of this lower base, and I loved the way it actually popped at the end of last week. So with that recovery, if it breaks that recent high, it's definitely game on for this one. So if you're watching for a resistance, keep watching 192 right now.
Love to see it. On a quick side note, if you guys are new to the channel, definitely consider obliterating that subscribe button to get our videos recommended to you more often. It takes us hours to make these videos, and we cover all of the most important news, information, earnings, big money trades, and everything you have to know about in this crazy market. There is so much news and just updates that happen every single day, and we summarize it all in basically like a 20 to 25 minute video and cover relevant setups as well. So if you want to get our videos recommended to you more often, definitely demolish that subscribe button. We also cover charts that you'd never otherwise see as well. So definitely consider joining the Stocked Up crew. But we also want to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, Iketris, in the Stocked Up trading floor, who had some great gains with some SPY call options. So he made a little bit over $9,000 today with some SPY calls, which was great to see. So huge shout out to you, and keep up the great work going forward. If you guys are into short-term trading, definitely check out that first link in the description and the comments down below to get in on the action. But with everything being said, Tom, it is a crazy and exciting market. We're going to see a lot of big movement, not only throughout this week because of earnings, the big economic events, the tariff news, and everything else, but there is a lot going on in the stock market and just the world in general right now. So we're set for an exciting 2025.
Yeah, we definitely are, Mike. Just remember, in the short term, volatility is going crazy, guys. So make sure that you are keeping your stop losses tight in the short term. But don't be afraid also to play some volatility in the short term. There's a lot of good opportunities here. There's a lot of good runners, like today off of that Mexico news with SPY. We had some pretty good action off of that. Even a lot of the tech stocks today that, were, let's say, not moving the best, like Apple, there were still good opportunities to the downside, even on those. So just keep your stop losses tight. Be willing to adapt in the short term, because there's opportunities out there. You just got to know where to look.
Exactly, and you said it best, Tom. Adapt, have stop losses, follow the money, and keep up to date with information, because there's new information coming out every second. So thank you all so much for watching. Again, check out those links in the description and the comments down below. And besides that, let's crush it in the market tomorrow.